Hi guys, I'm Shmi, hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me on a beautiful day here in Germany, today with the AMG GT R Pro to head to the Autobahns. Now since completing the running in process, I've already taken the Pro for a few hard laps around the Nurburgring Nordschleife. I think the fastest it's reached so far was 270 kilometers per hour down one of the straights. That's about 168 miles per hour. Today though, we're going to the de-restricted Autobahns to see what this car is made out of. Plus there are a few more things I'd like to tell you about the Pro now that I've done some more miles behind the wheel. So let's head on out then, hopefully get an empty stretch and see what this can do. Now, I'm no stranger to driving AMG GTRs here on the Autobahn. Before I upgraded to buying the Pro, I used to have the regular AMG GTR. In fact, drove that car about 30,000 kilometers, mostly based from my place here in Germany, meaning a lot of high-speed stretches on the Autobahn. The Pro, though, is the more focused, more track-orientated version, which means introducing downforce, and more downforce is always the enemy of high speed. So this car has an extended front splitter. We've got the carbon flics just around the front corners. We've got the louvers for cooling over the arches. Around towards the back we've got those aero blades at the sides of the diffuser like on the AMG 1, and we've also got a gurney flap here on the rear spoiler. Now because downforce at high speed has more of an effect on the airflow over the car, it does normally mean you expect a track focused version to have a lower top speed than its regular road going counterpart. But the GTR was already such a focused car that the Pro actually claims the same numbers. A top speed of 318 kilometers per hour, 198 miles per hour, so just short of the 200 miles per hour mark, but dashboards normally slightly overread. Legally they can't actually underread, which means they normally give you a slightly higher reading, so we'll have a GPS speedo as well in the car. This is very much set up for the purpose. Obviously we've got a 4-litre twin-turbo V8 that makes 585 horsepower, 700 newton meters of torque. We're running on some appropriate rubber. We've got a set of Michelin Sport Cup 2 tyres. They are inflated as per the manufacturer recommended amount. They're all good tyres. We've got 38 PSI at the front, 39 at the back. That's 2.6 bar and 2.7 bar. We've got the RXE lightweight wheels that come with the car, also carbon ceramics, and you can see there's a lot of brake dust that needs to be cleaned. There are also a lot of splattered bugs at the front from the laps on the Nurburgring, and I suspect there are going to be a few more later on. But let's come through, because I want to talk a little bit about the sound that you get out of there, but also out of the speakers inside. Now the GTR introduced this large central exhaust, but also flanked by the twin exit, one on each side, that you have integrated into the bumper, which most people don't really notice. The thing in the Pro though is that this is now an OPF generation car, which means it is quite a lot quieter from the go. So let's just turn it on, bring it into life. And it comes in, you know, it's a little bit of a V8 grumble, but it's not what you expect from a car like this, and that's in comfort with the exhaust valves closed. You can press this and hear the difference as they open up, but when they're open, you're also getting sound from the speakers, which is not what you want at all, and it is very, very irritating. So we will go through various different modes: Sport, Sport Plus, Race, maybe wheel drive. In Race, actually, if you press this, you go into Individual, which is better because it is set up, you can see with the settings on the screen, for the purpose today. The car is fully run in, as I've said. In here I've got a few displays I can turn on, which are kind of cool as well. We can go into Vehicle and then go into the Dynamic Select. Inside here we can bring up, for example, engine data, and you can see exactly what the car is doing with these nice charts, which is always good fun to look at and see. But we'll get this out then on the roads, head over straight towards the Autobahn and see what it's all about. I am very much enjoying this car more and more. Now that I've got it out here to Germany, it just makes so much more sense. You've got these lovely, lovely smooth roads. You've got places like the Nurburgring. You've got roads like the Autobahns, places where this can really be enjoyed and be used. It's just a little bit too firm, too bumpy and too rough for the UK roads. But out here, it is perfect. So just cruising along, obviously dropping some gears manually. You don't get the same sharp snap that you have with naturally aspirated engines that we had before in the GTR when it was non-OPF. I think this is going to be a big thing that changes going forwards. However, we do want the valve open, and obviously if you put your foot all the way down to the floor, the valve does open anyway, because you need that airflow through to get power and not to have any kind of blockages in the system. We will cruise over though to a section of Autobahn that I know very well, where we're going to head today. Hopefully, of course, it will be completely empty. If it is not empty, it will not be possible to put my foot down. Safety always has to come first, and everything, like I said, is prepped in terms of the car. But if it should be, we'll be able to see what this car can do, and maybe even a race start to get an opportunity as well. And I can already see bugs being splattered on the front windscreen ahead of me, which is, yes, I guess an inevitability of the lovely weather today. Perfect visibility and great setup overall to head to Autobahns. So we'll get there and we'll see what happens. The race start in this car is brilliantly easy. You just come to a stop, it's completely empty, foot on the brake, foot on the throttle, and then go. So basically, let's prepare, foot down, 5,000 RPM, go. Get the grip, and away we go. 100 already, 150, 200, 0 to Vmax in one run. And I mean, you've just seen how quickly it accelerated. I've not experienced that myself. But this is where, when I'm back on the power, you hear all of the sound from the speaker. And the human ears don't pick that up in the same way that the camera's microphones do. I mean, this car's really fast. Really, really, really fast. The thing that you lose slightly though when you do start to slow down is a perception that I'm still going at 230, even though it's a lot slower than it was before. Wow. Okay, so Vmax in the AMG GT R Pro then is bang on where it's supposed to be, but the most interesting thing for me was that was definitely into a limiter. That was definitely the top of what it had available. It wasn't the end of the power that it was going to, that the engine could manage. It was the end of the electronics allowing us to keep accelerating, because we hit that speed and then it just kind of stopped accelerating any further. So I do wonder what you could do with that limiter removed, but also with a visit to, you know, my friends at RENNtech, if you added a bit more power into it, and especially a bit more noise. And now we have to slow down quite dramatically for the speed limited section. Get all the crackles from the exhaust. There we go, it's a little bit warmer now as well. It is always interesting though to go back the other way, because wind makes such a big difference. Even if you have a 10-15 km/h breeze in one direction, when you're going at that speed, obviously the difference from one way to the other is a huge, huge amount. So I think we've got a small, slower section, some trucks I noticed, some bikes and things for the moment, but then we'll get back onto our pretty empty section of Autobahn and get to see if we match the same in this direction or what traffic allows. Of course, that's always got to be number one. Conveniently, it was completely empty, but you have to be, you can't obviously go past, nice thumbs up from the guy here. You can't fly past a biker or something at 300 because, well, I mean, many reasons why that's not fair or logical with the airflow of the car. So, here we go, back out onto our stretch then. Let's slow it down to 100 odd. Can we go into second gear? Yeah, there we go. Back on the power. My bad. We've got a small section of roadworks and a bike ahead, so we need to be careful past the trucks here, and then we'll get on the power a bit more and go past the bike. In fact, shouldn't be going too quick when we get there. More bug splats. Right, after we're past, time to get on the power and go. Car entering up on the right. Always got to watch those things in case they don't notice how quick time, but I can clearly tell that there's a lot more of a battle against the wind in this direction than there was going in the other direction. So I think we've had the maximum we're going to see today. I'm just amazed by how bug splattered the front window is. This is the stretch where we would have had it fully open, a little bit of downhill, but then it's going to be uphill up the other side. So the military van pulls over, we can get back on the power. I mean, even just feeling the numbers increasing in front. Keep right. It actually picks up pretty well to this kind of speed, but then I guess it's struggling. Now is where all of that extra downforce is kind of holding us back a bit. You'd expect a GTR to get to that limited speed a little bit quicker than the Pro, and obviously now a bit uphill as well. Really struggling to get through 300. A small bit of hill, maybe the wind blowing against us. This is full flat still. And yeah, we're not making the 300. Oh, he says that, 299. 298. We got 300 uphill. But now we come to a speed section. So, heavy on the brakes. Heavy, 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 heavy. Braking feels good, it has to be said. Brakes are really good. That was actually fantastic, because that was 300 down to 80 in a dead straight, dead arrow line. Amazing. Now, I will answer, by the way, because I know a lot of people are going to wonder why the speedos don't read the same thing, and I did briefly touch on this earlier, but by law, a car's built-in speedo can never underread the actual speed, which means every manufacturer factors in a small bit of variance. So dashboard displays are never the actual speed you're going. Some are pretty close, some can be 1k, 1 mile an hour off, but most tend to be about 5% out. And at 50 miles an hour, that's pretty much non-existent. 5% is 2.5 miles an hour. But at 200 miles an hour, you're talking 10 out, and obviously that's quite a different reading versus what the GPS says, a GPS or a telemetric system or an actual kind of setup that's using, you know, real positioning data. That drive though was really comfortable, so stable at speed, so easy, so little drama. Obviously not much noise, but I mean that was it. Vmax in the AMG GT R Pro, absolute Vmax, pinned. Probably must have been a good half a minute or so at top speed. Where this car accelerates, as you might have seen in my video at the Nurburgring, is on track. The way it rides, the way it drives, things like rear wheel steering, which help with stability, helps with stability at high speed as well. Having so much downforce keeps it glued to the ground. Having the carbon ceramics gives you amazing stopping power. Having the Sport Cup 2 tyres gives you an amazing level of grip as well. It's completely set up and dialed in for track driving and for these kind of roads, these lovely, smooth, wide roads. I just would like it to make a little bit more noise. Although, interesting thing, if while we're going along now, I close the valve, even though we're still in my individual mode, but I'm not putting my foot down, it significantly quietens that built-in speaker. Yeah. Depressing, isn't it? That's the world we're heading to. And I also like how you get those red flashing lights on the dashboard. Shift indicators. Nice display, and you can hear that the exhaust is warmer than it was before. So, what do I think of the car? Well, I love it more now than I did before. I do think it's still lacking a small touch of excitement, but you can't really complain when it drives as well as it does. I mean, it's just a monumentally amazing piece of kit. Obviously a bit of squeal from the very hot brakes. That is the downside of carbon ceramics. When you've been tracking them and using them, they like to let you know about it. When you have the door open, it doesn't really sound like how a supercar should sound. And the tyre pressures are now really high as well. We're up to, what are we, 3 bar at the front, 3.1, 3.2 at the rear. So, I let the engine cool down a little bit from that little escapade. Drank a lot of fuel doing that, but Vmax achieved in the GTR Pro. This isn't really a surprise, but if you drive a white car at those kind of speeds, the front ends up looking something like this, completely obliterated with red and yellow of bugs that have been splattered. And look at the windscreen as well. I'm going to need to go and get this cleaned up now, because that's actually kind of irritating to the vision outside of the car. And even around the front, look at the sensor here, the adaptive brake sensor. It doesn't have adaptive cruise control on this car because you couldn't spec it in the UK on the Pro, but it's still a brake assist functionality, and that is completely covered. The plate is covered, the whole of the front end is covered, so it will be getting a proper clean up in the not too distant future, I think. But this car handled doing that brilliantly. I think it looks really cool as well. In fact, the more time I spend looking at the GTR Pro, the cooler I actually think it is. I'm very pleased that Topaz, we did these gloss black stripes just to make it, the piano black, just to make it look a little different from the others. Oh, nice Bentley Conti GT coming on past. Nice, UK reg. This car, yeah, another touch I really like as well is this, the checkered flag on the GTR logo. Always thought that was a pretty cool detail, as opposed to the yellow one that the regular GTR has. And obviously things like having the titanium coloured wheels were unique to this, having black carbon ceramic calipers instead of the gold ones as well. And now, as you can see, there are a whole load of bugs flying around because it is warm and it is bright white, Designo Diamond White. Anyway, today, mission successful, a safe and quick run in the GTR Pro up to literally its top speed. 319 kilometers per hour, 198 miles per hour, pretty much spot on as the book suggested, exactly as the car claims it achieves. So, mission success. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please do subscribe for plenty more cool things with this car to come. That's it for now though, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!